Isaiah 43, chapter 43, verse 2 says this. It says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. When you walk through fire, you shall not be burned, and the flames shall not consume you. For I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. I want you to notice the words that God uses in this verse. It says, when you pass through the waters and when you walk through the fire. It's not if, it's when. You are going to go through something in life that is going to challenge you, that is going to cause you to struggle, it is going to cause you to kind of not be comfortable in life. And when we started the series 2 weeks ago, we talked about the fact that if you love God, if you follow Jesus Christ, there isn't a guarantee that your life will be smooth and problem-free, is there? No, not at all. I can think of a few people even sitting in this room, but more even throughout the course of my life that I've witnessed, that as soon as they've been baptized and they make a commitment to Christ, all of a sudden life begins to fall apart on them. And it's so unreal because they think, oh, I'm going to be super Christian now. You know, I'm going to be awesome now, and it's going to be great because God's on my side, and I've committed to be a part of this family. And that's when that seems to be, I don't know. It's not. I wouldn't say the Bible outlines it, so I wouldn't call it necessarily a spiritual truth. But it just seems like from experience, that's when the devil attacks, and it's just so not good. So following Christ isn't a guarantee that your life will be smooth and problem-free. In fact, there are several places throughout Scripture that, Isaiah being one of them that we just read, God says when, and in essence, guarantees struggle, strife, problems, issues in life. But you also find that struggle is coupled with the presence of the Lord, which is pretty awesome. You'll also find in almost, pretty much every one of those, you will see that the Lord was with them. That the Lord was going through that with them, that the Lord got them through the issue that they were dealing with. You won't be alone, and not only will God be with you, but He'll help you get through whatever it is that you're facing. He'll help you get through this, whether in this life or the next. And it won't be easy, it won't be quick, but God's going to use this mess for something good. Amen? Amen. But sometimes the mess smells like stinky feet, doesn't it? We talked about this last week. It steals our attention away from what we really should be focused on. Sometimes our vision gets distracted. You take off your shoes, and what do you get drawn to? Right? One night this week, this is terrible, but one night this week, Sam was in our bedroom. We were all trying to go to bed. I was tired. I was grumpy. I get grumpy. I'm sorry. And I was taking my shoes off, and I took my socks off, and they were, especially that day, I'd been in them all day long. And he was not leaving us alone. Like, he was just wired. I don't know what was going on. So I took my socks, and I started beating him with them. And he's like, ew, 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 ew. You know, it was just kind of great. It was perfect. That has no spiritual essence. I just thought I'd make you laugh a little bit. But sometimes when we have that thing going on, right, we can't stop looking down at our feet. We can't stop. Our head is down. Our head is focused on something else. And we talked about this last week, when our head should be looking up and looking around and looking at what God is doing in our life. And sometimes all we can see, all that we really want to focus on, is the dirty, smelly, stinky things in life. Because they're unusual, but they also are, like, in a way, not the good amazing, but in a way they're amazing. You know? It's kind of weird. But the vision isn't dirty, stinky, and rotten-smelling feet or socks, is it? The vision is what? The vision is Jesus. So when times come that are really messy and smelly, and when you're tempted to look away from Jesus, I want to give you a phrase that you can use. I want to give you something that's going to be very memorable to you. And that phrase is this: stupid won't fix stupid. Stupid won't fix stupid. Say that with me. You guys are looking at me like, you're crazy. What are you doing today? If you're in a stupid situation, if you are in a stupid situation, if you're doing something more stupid, that isn't going to make it better, is it? If you're in a dumb situation and you're like, well, I'm going to do something that's really stupid, is that going to improve your situation, or is that going to make it worse? Is that going to make it more stupid? Yeah, absolutely. If you're in something dumb and you make a bad decision, two wrongs don't make a right, right? Stupid doesn't fix stupid. But it is so tempting in a tough time to abandon everything sensible and to do something really silly or stupid, isn't it? It's so easy to do that. When you're weak, when you're hurting, when you're feeling alone, when you're looking for relief from your situation, it is so easy to give into temptation and to do something you might consider stupid had the circumstances been a little bit better. I've talked to many people that have said, I can't believe I went through with that. I never thought in a million years that I would do this. I never thought that this would be something that I would be capable of. I've talked to people and they've said that to me. Maybe you've had an experience like that in your own life. I never thought I would start. I never thought I would do this. And it causes an issue. In 1 Peter 5:8, it says this, your adversary or your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. When a lion goes after a herd of gazelles, you don't see it going after the fastest, strongest gazelle of the bunch, do you? You ever watch that on YouTube? Seen our National Geographic? You ever seen that happen? What one does a lion usually go after? The weak one. It's either hurt, it's young, or it's incredibly slow, right? Survival of the fittest. This is the law of nature, right? According to the physicists, the scientists, whatever they are called. The devil is no different. I want you to know this today. The devil is no different. When you are slow, when you are hurt, when you are weak, that is when the devil stops roaring. And that is when he sneaks right up beside you and he's getting ready to pounce. When things aren't going well, and even when they are, you need to be careful. You need to be on alert. You can be lured into making some really stupid and sinful decisions. In the short term, they may feel great. They may feel awesome. It may make you feel better. It may improve your mood. But it has no lasting effect. There is no lasting long-term effect, and they will never make things better. They will never make things better. So listen to me. One sinful choice. One sinful choice, no matter how small, no matter how inconsequential it might seem, can start a chain reaction of consequences that you never saw coming. When you are hurting, when you are lonely, and going through this, whatever this is, when your body is worn out, and your emotional tank is empty, when people are against you, and you wonder where your God is, that's when you'll start hearing the voice. Just try this. Enjoy that. Do this, and you'll feel so much better. And you won't realize the chain reaction of that one choice. In one push, the years of building that went into your life can be completely erased and pushed into ruin. It's a lot like dominoes. And I got a video to kind of illustrate that for you. pretty incredible, isn't it? That was a Guinness Book of World Record attempt to build the longest wall back in 2012, dominoes. And you're probably wondering, why did I show you a 3-minute long video of dominoes falling down? But it's really important that you look at this, because that's amazing. Isn't it? To spend that much time, people got too much time on their hands. Right? And it's an amazing thing to look at something that people will build. People will build this up. They will take all the time, and then with one push of a domino, they'll destroy it all. It'll all come crashing down. Imagine if you had walked into the gymnasium there, and you had seen all the dominoes laying on the floor just like that. You wouldn't have known what had happened, right? You wouldn't have known that there was a great wall standing. You didn't know that there was a magnificent structure standing there. Because with one push of that first domino, it all came crashing down. Yeah. There you go, perfect. It's a lot of fun to destroy things, isn't it? I think it is. But that looks amazing. That's a lot of fun, unless it's your life. Because that is the perfect metaphor for what we're talking about today. It's cool. It's a lot of fun to watch. But all it takes is one push. One stupid choice that starts a chain reaction, and the entire thing comes apart at the seams, and you can't stop it. There's a point where you're like, maybe this is the end. Nope, there it goes again, right? And we've all been in that position in life. Like, maybe this is the bottom. Nope, that floor fell out too, and I'm going to keep going until I hit rock bottom. Because rock bottom doesn't move, does it? No. All it takes is one push. One stupid choice that starts a chain reaction, and the entire thing comes apart at the seams. You've been thrown into a pit. You can barely see any light. You've been disregarded by your family like Joseph was. You're lonely and you're far from home. You're in pain. Why not do that, just that one thing, something that'll make you feel just a little bit better? And temptation often comes in these times, in times of darkness and pain like Joseph has been facing. We want to feel better. So there are some key times when temptation shows up and times when you've got to be careful. I want to talk about those, and I want to talk about some of the things that we can do to stand strong, learning from the life of Joseph. So if you have Bibles with you this morning, I'd ask you to turn to Genesis 39. That's where we're going to be hanging out today. And if you take notes, today is the day to take notes, because I got a lot of quick points for you. So I'll give you a second to get there, and we'll get started. There are really two times when temptation will come after you. There are two times. The first time is temptation often comes when you're weary and worn and you wonder if God is really near. If you look at Genesis 39 chapter 39 verse 1, man, I'm just not doing very well this morning with those references. Genesis 39 verse 1, it says, "Now Joseph had been brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard, an Egyptian, had bought him from the Ishmaelites who had brought him down there." Now, this is what you would consider a low point in your life, right? In his life especially. But if you were taken away from your home, especially if you were taken to a nation that didn't even speak your language, this is an issue. Joseph is a Hebrew. He is from what would become the nation of the Jews, the nation of Israel. He is that lineage. And he doesn't speak the Egyptian language. He doesn't speak like they speak. He doesn't do the things that they do. They have different cultures. He's been taken. He's been sold into slavery. You know, life was great for him before that. His dad favored him. He had everything he needed. Everything was provided for him. And within a couple of hours, everything changed. Everything changed. His brothers have hated him. They want to kill him. They want to get and they finally get their chance to do it. They throw him in a pit that didn't kill him. So instead of murdering him in cold blood, they instead sell him off to Egypt for a couple of bucks. He was nothing more than property to be used. There was no value to his life. So when we feel like there is no value to life, or when we feel like we've got nothing to lose or nothing going in our favor, that thought combined with bad circumstances is the sign that you're getting ready to do something stupid. You know that? There's that line. Like when we need to live according to Christ's principles, we need to install boundaries. You know when you bowl and you put up bumpers so you don't go in the gutter? We need to put up bumpers in our lives so we don't end up in the gutter. All right? So that's what the kind of the principles that we're talking about. So when you have this thought process of what have I got to lose anyway? Life is just, you know, And when you think that, and then you've got bad circumstances going on, you need to put up those bumpers and you need to go along for the ride because you need to get down to the end of the aisle. You're in a mode at this point where you can justify anything because you've shifted your focus from long-term to short-term. You know when that happens. And it's tough to stop it. But you've shifted your focus from long-term to short-term. In other words, you've shifted your focus from eternity and glorifying God to me and glorifying myself. Because I don't feel good right now and I want to fix it. Right? Been there. So you're looking for something in the moment rather than looking to eternity. And as a result, you're losing sight of the value of your relationships, of your reputation, and everything else that you've worked hard for. And you've built that wall up for, right? In this moment, you'll choose whether or not to push that first domino over and begin the chain reaction. If you forget to be still, if you forget to be still and know that He is God, you have a very real chance of setting off a chain reaction and destroying your life with just one decision. When you're in the pit, when you're in the cistern, when you're alone, cut up, flat out discouraged, maybe you've got a terminal illness or you just see no way out of what you're going through right now. You think, where's God anyways? And that's when your adversary, the devil, will come in like a lion and say, you should try this. It'll make you feel better. And the dominoes will begin to fall. The second time the temptation comes is when things are going well and God seems near. When things are going well and God seems near. Now, we've covered the beginning pits of Joseph's life, but as we read in Genesis 39, we find things improve for him. And sometimes it's in the success of life, when things are great and God is close to us, that temptation creeps in on us. Look at Genesis 39, verses 2 through 4. It says, the Lord was with Joseph, and he became a successful man. And he was in the house of his Egyptian master. His master saw that the Lord was with him, and the Lord caused all that he did to succeed in his hands. So Joseph found favor in his sight and attended to him, and he made him overseer of his house and put him in charge of all that he had. You see, yes, temptation will come when you are weary, when you are worn, and when God feels distant. But temptation will also come when God seems near and things are going great. So I want you to be careful. You know why? Know why? Because that's when we tend to relax. When we are experiencing success, when things are going good, when we've put in a hard day's work and it's just been a good day of work, we want to come home and go, we just want to relax, right? We let our guard down. We're not under constant attack. We're not in defense mode anymore. And we let our guard down, and in those moments, your enemy, the devil, is prowling around like a lion looking for an opportunity to pounce. And it puts you on edge a little bit, doesn't it, hearing that truth? It puts you on edge. He is out there prowling around when I am weary and when I am worn and when I am struggling, but he's also out there looking for me when I am feeling good and when I'm feeling successful and when things are going well for me. Absolutely. Freaks you out a little bit, doesn't it? It should. It really should. You've got to pay attention to this because I know some of you have been coming since we started this series 2 weeks ago. And you've been listening to this teaching and you've been going, this is good stuff, but I can't apply it right away because I'm not going through anything right now. And there's nothing in my life that's really that big of a deal. Like I don't feel like it's like you'll get through this material. Well, pay attention because you're in one of the positions in life of all time. You're in one of three positions in life of all times. You're either coming out of a storm, you're in a storm, or you're getting ready to go into another storm. So if life is good right now, it's time to put your seatbelt on. Because something's coming. If you are an effective soldier of Jesus Christ, something is coming. If you are following Him, something is coming for you. Struggle is coming. Now, maybe you've developed thick skin. Maybe you're hardened and you're ready to go. But I want you to know that doesn't mean Satan will let up in your life. That does not mean that temptation will go away. You are still a fleshly being, are you not? And temptation still comes a knocking on your door. And I'm purposely trying to put you on edge a little bit because Satan is out there prowling around when times are great and when times are horrible, when God seems near and when God seems far. He does not want you to succeed. An active, alert Christian is a threat to him and his defeated kingdom. And it's in those moments when temptation comes, that rationalizations will happen. So I want to go through some of those, and we're going to rapid fire some of these. But here are some of the rationalizations you'll find yourself making in some of these times. The first one is this: God is not taking care of me. Why should I honor him? You ever thought that before? God isn't really taking care of me, so why should I honor him? That kind of gives us a permission in our own minds to push over that first domino. Like God isn't taking care of me, so what's the point? And when that happens, you're treating it more of a business transaction. You realize that, right? Like it's an issue when you walk in and you say, well, I'm going to do something for him if he does something for me. That's not like sacrifice. That's not giving. That's not anything. That is, I'll pay you as long as you pay me. Or I'll give you money if you give me something in return. That is a business transaction. That is not sacrifice. That is not love. That is not anything of the above. God is not taking care of me. Why should I honor him? That's the first rationalization we'll make. Second thing is, I'm weary, I'm tired, I'm worn out, and I deserve this. Oh, have I been in this camp? You? I'm tired, I'm worn out, I've worked hard, I deserve a taste of this, a moment of that. Oh, that's the second rationalization. That's not good. Third thing, everyone else is doing it. When I was in school, I don't know, it might have been at home I heard this. I'm not going to go there. You got to know that when I'm up here talking, things come into my mind sometimes, and there's a filter that needs to happen. Everyone else is doing it. It must feel good. It must be okay. It doesn't. And if everyone else is doing it, guess what? You're going to feel lonely, right? Unless you join in on the fun, then you feel like a part of the crowd, right? If everyone's sitting down, enjoying whatever it is you want to enjoy, that's tough. That's tough to sit back and go, no, right now I've been off sugar for 3 weeks. Woohoo! Right? So I can't sit here and say, drink Pepsi today, because I'm not drinking Pepsi. But it's tough. Last night, I was here, performed a wedding. There's cake. Looks delicious. Right? Can't have it. I had somebody last night offer me a Pepsi. Right? Everybody else is drinking it. There's alcohol here last night. Everybody else is drinking it. No, I'm good. I don't want to be a part of that. And you feel like the Debbie Downer of the group, don't you, sometimes? You know, we're having a good time. We want you to have a good time too. Well, I don't have a good time like you have a good time. Sorry, appreciate it, but not for me, right? Because I know my limits. I know my weaknesses. I know where I'm at. That's a struggle that we go through. Everyone else is doing it. It must feel good. It must be okay. No. If that's your standard, you've got to back up a little bit and you've got to look around. Look to God's word. The fourth thing is nobody's going to know. What's the most prolific saying in our culture today? What happens in Vegas? Because STDs stay in Vegas, right? Pregnancy stays in Vegas, right? Get where I'm going, right? You know, shame stays in Vegas, doesn't it? Guilt stays in Vegas. No, it don't. That comes back with you. God knows. Just because it happened there and nobody else knows, there's two people that know. At least two people that know. You and God. You and God. God always knows. And you know, and it will come out even though you cover your tracks very well, it will still come out. There is example after example after example in the scriptures of this happening. The fifth thing, it's culturally acceptable. It's culturally acceptable for this to happen. We see this one impacting the church, the worldwide church the most today. It is culturally acceptable for this to happen. So we need, in order to be relevant, in order to reach people, we need to do these things. We need to accept these things. We need to be tolerant. Now, I am all for being against a completely uneducated bigot and some of these things that people have valid concerns about for some Christians. However, Tolerance is the biggest lie that this culture has ever pitched to anyone. There is God's law and there is not God's law. Does that make sense? There is what God has said and there isn't what God has said. And if it's not a part of God's plan, we should not be participating in it. If He has explicitly said, do not do this, then pause off, right? Culture will continue down this path. They will continue making things culturally acceptable. That is the way the world is going to go until the day of destruction of this world. This is not God's world. This is Satan's world. The flesh rules this world, and eventually one day God will have enough. He destroyed it once, and He's promised to destroy it again. And it's coming. The sixth thing is this doesn't hurt anyone else. Oh my gosh, if you've ever thought this, or if you're thinking it today, please take a moment and pause. Because it may not hurt anyone else, but it will hurt you. It will hurt you. It hurts Jesus. If you sin, it hurts Jesus, who died for our sins, who suffered for us to get rid of the very thing that you're getting ready to do, or that you are messed up in. He still loves us. I want you to know that today. Jesus Christ still loves you no matter what sin is in your life. No matter what sin you commit today, what you committed yesterday, what you're doing right now with your thoughts in your mind. He loves you. He has the grace to forgive you. But sin changes us. Sin impacts us at our core. It changes our relationships. It changes our attitude. It changes who we are. Just because it doesn't hurt anyone else doesn't make it any better. Don't rationalize it that way. You see, temptation can be quiet and it can be subtle. It can just happen in your mind and nobody can see it going on. But some temptation comes screaming in and it kicks the door in, doesn't it? Sometimes it just like shows up right out of nowhere and you're like, you don't have time to react. And you're just like, I don't know how to handle this right now. And Satan doesn't really care as long as he gets to you. And so here's one of those times that temptation can come screaming in. Joseph is in Potiphar's house now. He is second in command there. We've just read that he's found favor in the eyes of Potiphar. He's found success and things are going well. And Satan loves to come in and make a good guy fall and be an example and discourage other people, doesn't he? Oh, he loves to make it happen when other Christians fall, when pastors fall, when church leaders fall, when people who are professed Christians, when they screw up in sin. Satan just revels in that because he's just like, he knows it's going to discourage so many other people. And so in Genesis 39, about halfway through verse 6, it says, "Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. And after a time, his master's wife cast her eyes on Joseph and said, 'Lie with me.'" We just kicked the door in, didn't we? Right? You know what lie with me means, right? You know that's a woman coming on to a man, right? So Satan is like in his face right now. He says, "Lie with me." But he refused. And he said to his master's wife, "Behold, because of me, my master has no concern about anything in the house. And he has put everything that he has in my charge. He is not greater in this house than I am, nor has he kept back anything from me except you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" And as she spoke to Joseph day after day, he would not listen to her, to lie beside her, or to be with her. But one day, when he went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house was there in the house, she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out of the house. And as soon as she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and had fled out of the house, she called to the men of her household and said to them, "See, he has brought among us a Hebrew to laugh at us. He came in to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. And as soon as he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried out, he left his garment beside me and fled and got out of the house." And then she laid up his garment by her until his master came home. And she told him the same story. Skip over a few words there. And as soon as his master heard the words that his wife spoke to him, his anger was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. Now, what did Joseph do wrong here? He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. He did everything that he could right. He was serving his master, and it ends up all wrong. Been there, haven't you? You do the right thing, you get the wrong circumstances as a result. So I want to focus on today what he did right. Next week we're going to look at something different, but I want to focus on what he did right now. There's a lot we can learn from Joseph, because when things are getting better and temptation comes screaming in, when it kicks the door in, this is what he did. He fought against it. He stood up against it. And how can we fight temptation and not make stupid choices when it kicks the door in on our lives? How can we stand up against it? What can we learn from Joseph? How can we not set off the chain reaction that leads to complete ruin? Well, here are some strategies that I want to give to you. Some things that we see Joseph does. The first one is to refuse and say no. To refuse and say no. Say it out loud. No. No, stronger than that. No. No, it's not going to happen, right? Sin's going to come knocking on your door. It's going to kick it in. What are you going to say? No, you're going to declare it. You're going to say it out loud if you have to. This is not something I'm going to participate in. This is not right. This is not truth. This, right away, I'm going to declare it, and I'm going to say no. It's a great word. We need to use it. We need to use this more in our spiritual life. He had to say no and no and no again and again and again, because it said day after day she kept coming after him. We're going to talk about that in a second more, but sometimes you just need to say no, and you need to say it out loud. The second thing is reflect on what you have and the consequences and the repercussions if you follow through with the decision you're getting ready to make. That's the second thing you need to do. What might happen if you go online? What might happen if you make that one phone call? What might happen if you take that one drink? What might happen if you say what you really think on your mind right now? What might happen if you pursue a relationship with that person? Even if you, in the beginning, it's just a friendship. What might happen? Stop for a moment and consider the consequences and the repercussions of what you might get yourself into. What are you really going to gain from pursuing this? And maybe more importantly, what might you lose? What might you lose? Joseph did that. You see, he mentioned that he's second in charge and he's finally got some success in life. Life is looking up for him. He is counting the cost. He is looking forward in his life. And he's seeing that he's got influence, he's got resources, and he just knows that if he does this, he's going to lose all of that. He's going to lose it all. So what would be really beneficial to you is if you stop, you hit pause for a second, and you think about all the possible things that might happen if you travel down the road of temptation. You might spend 5-10 minutes thinking about what might happen, what the consequences will be like. And that may seem silly to you right now. That may say, why? I'm going to sit back and I'm going to do a thinking exercise in the face of this temptation. Well, first of all, what I've noticed in temptation is that you need time to pass. It feels urgent. It feels like you got to do this or you got to give up. It feels like you got to keep going, right? When sin comes knocking on your door, it feels like, oh, I got to do this, right? You don't want to do it. And you have that moment where you have the good angel, bad angel, and the good angel says, no, do it. And the bad angel runs over and kicks the good angel off the ledge because you didn't listen right away. And the more time you spend thinking about it, the more time that you spend considering the actual sin, and the more time you spend not thinking about the consequences, the percentage just exponentially rises as far as if you're going to fall into that sin, if you're not going to. So spend 5 to 10 minutes just to let time pass. But if you feel like it's a waste of time, something that you really don't want to do, or maybe you're just not good at looking into the future and following down those trails of things like teenagers are notorious for, think about the fact that 5 to 10 minutes might keep you out of jail for 5 to 10 years. Because that's where pornography takes some people. You've probably seen To Catch a Predator, right, on TV? Or at least heard about it. Or I think as Dateline goes out and sets up these sting operations and invites these guys coming over to or what could be girls too, I guess, but these adult people to come into these children's homes, right? And it's amazing to see them kind of sneaking in. They know what they're doing is wrong. They know what they're doing is stupid. They're not dumb people. But they walk into that house, and as soon as, what's his name, Chris Harrison or something like that? I don't know what his name is. The host of the show, he walks out, and that guy just goes, and all sense just comes back in their mind, and they go, I'm in a really stupid position right now. And they don't have any explanation, do they? They have absolutely no explanation of what's going on. But just because they started off looking at pictures online, because they started off, they needed more than that. They needed to go farther. Sin will always take you farther than you wanted to go. And you will end up in a position later on in life that you could, if you didn't take 5 to 10 minutes, you could end up at 5 to 10 in jail. And that silly 5 to 10 minutes might have saved you a whole lot of ruin in your life. Or maybe that 5 to 10 might keep you from spending years rebuilding your marriage. Maybe 5 to 10 minutes might keep you from fighting off years of battling with addiction. You don't always know where you're going to end up, but doesn't it seem more sensible to take caution and avoid the stupid decision? Doesn't it seem worth it? Here's another thing that Joseph did. He declared the truth. In verse 9, it says, "He is not greater in this house than I am, nor has he kept back anything from me except you, because you are his wife." This is what Joseph did. He declared the truth. This is what is happening right now. This is what I'm seeing happening. He says, "You are a married woman. You are his wife." This is wrong, is what he's saying. This is sin. Do not be afraid to point it out and to say it out loud. Did you notice that in that verse when he said this is a sin against God? Do you see that verse? What did you expect him to say? A sin against Potiphar, right? Your husband. But no, he said it was a sin against God. He says, how can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? But what Joseph knows and what we should know is that all sin, no matter who we're sinning against, is a sin against God. It's a sin against God. And no sin is secret because all sin is sin against God. The fourth thing that we can learn from Joseph is that he learned to prepare for persistent attacks. In verse 10, it says that she spoke to Joseph day after day and he wouldn't listen to her. When Satan is on the prowl, when he is on the hunt, he'll come to the door and he's going to start knocking. Hello? Anybody home? I got something real good out here for you. Why don't you come take a peek? And he's going to keep knocking on the door. And you know what? Days, weeks, months, you're going to resist. Maybe even years. But as soon as you take a peek into that door, it's all over. You need to prepare for persistent attacks. You have to keep the door shut. You have to keep the door shut. You cannot give evil a foothold, because once he gets a foot in the door, once you become curious and you want to see what's out there, once you start dabbling, the dominoes are going to start falling. Don't open the door even when the enemy keeps on knocking at your door. Joseph also knew to stay away. This is the fifth thing. Joseph knew to stay away. Verse 10 also says that he didn't even go near her. Do you notice that? He didn't even want to be around her. And sometimes that's what we've got to do. We've got to keep distance. We cannot be around certain people. We cannot be around certain things. Why? Because we just can't handle it. Because we just can't handle it. We got to keep away from sin. And the last thing I want to point out is when Joseph knew that sin was imminent, he ran. She grabbed him. She probably didn't just grab a hold of it. She probably tried to pull him near. And if Joseph is a guy, he's probably thinking about some of the opportunity. All right? And he knows that this is not something that he can participate in. And so to avoid it, to stand firm, to keep his integrity, what does he do? He runs. He gets out of Dodge. Because if he stays there for 1 second longer, temptation may turn into full-blown sin. Sometimes that's what we've got to do, is we've got to run for the door. Sometimes you've got to get out of the argument. Sometimes you've got to stop sending the email. Sometimes you've got to stop talking. Sometimes you've got to walk away and go for a drive. And that is when you can calm down and you can come back and have an argument and do all that. Sometimes you just got to cut people out of your life because they tend to be toxic. Love them at a distance. All right? You've got to know your boundaries. You've got to know where you can stand and where you can't stand, because you are trying to be holy, not everybody's friend. Run from sin. It's not cowardly, it's wisdom. Get out of the room, because if you start thinking about it, you're in trouble. So here's the question I want to ask you today. Is it possible to do everything right, to resist temptation and to flee from it, and things will still turn out worse? Yeah. Joseph did everything right and he ended up in a worse situation. He ended up falsely accused. His reputation was destroyed once again. But look at this in Genesis 39, chapter 39, verse 20. It says, and Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, the place where all the king's prisoners were confined. And he was there in prison, but the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. Hope is being renewed. Hope is being renewed in his life. What do you think would have happened if Joseph would have gave in to temptation? Do you think the Lord would have been with him in prison? I think he would have, but not in this capacity. Because Joseph would have put himself there. And because of his integrity, God was able to use him. And we get to finish the story, but you already know the end of the story. Is that Joseph gets put in second in command of all of Egypt. And he gets to save an entire race of people because of God's provision, because of the things that he endured. Now, if you know Jesus Christ, I want you to know something. Is that you're going to get through this. You'll get through this. It won't be quick. It won't be painless. But when temptation comes, remember this, that stupid won't fix stupid. The situation is stupid. It's messed up and I don't like it. I feel like junk and I just want to be better. What are you going to do? Are you going to make one more bad choice thinking that one stupid thing will fix another stupid thing? I mean, think about that. Take time to take inventory because it's not going to. Something stupid will not fix stupid. And you might end up starting a chain reaction if you follow through with it. Our God, who is full of grace, can save us out of our sin. We can reweave what was meant for evil into something so good and so glorious. But imagine what he could weave if we don't even entertain the evil going on around us. Imagine what he could do with pure thread, with pure opportunity. Imagine if we just gave God the freedom to weave together and he didn't have to just reweave all the time. You'll get through this. Hear me today. You'll get through this. It won't be easy. It won't be quick, but God will use this mess for something really good. And in the meantime, don't be foolish or naive, but do not despair either. Because with God's help, you will get through this.